What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of The Chi. This is Season 7, Episode 4, and the episode is titled Mother's Day. Let's go ahead and get right into this review. So we start this episode off seeing Emmett. He's shopping for flowers to give out to all his baby mamas, okay? You know, all the women in his life. His mama, Keisha. I think he got like 4 baby mamas. He picking up a lot of flowers. Baby, it's some lady in the store. She is like, dang, how many kids you got? Like, how many baby mamas do you need to get flowers for? Now, at the same time, we then see Darnell. He's so damn cheap because, you know, he got a bunch of baby mamas as well. However, he gets one bouquet and says they all gonna get one flower. I said, sir, how cheap are you? Also, where are your other kids? Do you spend time with them? I'm just curious, because we see you with Damien and we see you with Emmett, but where the rest of them kids at? Now, moving on, we actually see Shad. He is at a flower shop, and he ends up asking the clerk, like, hey, what do you get a mother who's lost a child? So the clerk is like, oh, you know, we do have these forever flowers. Baby, Shad looked at the price tag, and it must have been steep because at first he acted like he didn't want to buy them, so then he still ends up paying for them. But I'm just trying to figure out why he ain't got no money. Like, don't he work for Alicia? So shouldn't he be on payroll? Like, I promise you, the people on the Chi, they are the brokest people I've ever seen. I don't care if they drug dealers. I don't care if they if they rob people. They are all broke. And I'm trying to understand how and why. Now, the last person that we actually see shopping for flowers is Papa. He ends up getting his mom some flowers, and we do see him driving. He's singing Boyz II Men, Mama, and I'm just like, oh, now you want to get her flowers? That same woman who you left on Thanksgiving, so that way you can go hang out with the pastor? Yeah, okay. Oh, also I forgot to mention that Nook also ended up taking his mom some flowers to her grave, okay? Alright, so after that, y'all, let's really get into it. Y'all, we see Darnell and Jamal. Now, at this point, we are at this celebration that Emmett is having for Mother's Day. And here's my thing. Are we now going to have all these big celebrations every episode? Because we just had everybody celebrating, what was it? The baby shower, and all these random people were there. And now we're doing Mother's Day, and this random group of people are all hanging out together. I guess if that's what we're going to do, we're going to stick with it. So here's the thing. Jamal basically says that, you know, oh yeah, Dom, she's the one who taught me how to grill. Y'all, how are these people not sick of barbecue? It's bad enough everybody's eating Smokies all the time. How are y'all not sick of the barbecue? Okay? So, Darnell ends up trying to make a little slick comment about Dom, and Jamal is like, yo, like, you talking about my future wife? And Emmett is like, wait, what are you talking about? Who's getting married? So, here's my thing. Darnell and Emmett are giving this weird energy because, again, they have both had Dom in the past. However, Jamal says that he don't care about her past, and at the end of the day, that is who he's going to marry. So, then he ends up asking Emmett, like, so when are you going to marry Keisha? Now, according to Emmett, you know, they're practically married, and he's already been married before, and, you know, that didn't work out. So Darnell, he's like, you know, well, marriage is not something to play with, but at the same time, congratulations for getting all your baby mamas together. I guess, if that's what we're going to justify, I honestly don't understand how Emmett and Keisha have not gotten married at this point, considering they are absolutely living like they are. But I guess if that ain't what Keisha want, who's pressing it? So, moving on from there, Bakari. We see that he is hanging out with the professor, right? I can't remember what his name is, but we keep calling him the professor. And at this point, Bakari has survived. He survived his first semester of college. I would have liked to see him study. I would have liked to see him, you know, struggle through something to be like, yo, I gotta finish this paper or something. We just gonna breeze right over it. Fine. Now, according to him, he barely passing these classes, okay? And like I said, I would have enjoyed to see him in school. Maybe him and Lene could have reconnected because now she see that he's trying. But nope, that's not what we got. So the professor ends up asking Bakari, like, okay, so what do you got planned for the summer? And Bakari is like, well, I'm just trying to be outside this summer. And here's the thing. The professor is like, well, the streets aren't nice. And here's the thing. I don't think he literally means he's just going to be hanging out on the corner outside. When he says he's outside, I'm thinking he's going to be at pool parties. He's going to be having like a good time this summer. So for me, I thought that maybe the professor just kind of took it the wrong way. So then he basically tells Bakari that, he wants to see him get old. And whenever people are starting to change, that's when they get killed. And Bakari is like, well, whoa. Like, that's not about to happen to me. Like, I'm good. I'm like, okay, so are we trying to foreshadow that there's a possibility that Bakari will be taken out? Because that is very much what this conversation is giving. The professor, he ends up getting a little choked up, and he says that Bakari reminds him of someone, and then he flees into the house. Now, I can't lie, I was a little confused. I'm like, wait, so who does he remind you of, sir? Now, moving on from there, we jump on over to Alicia. So basically, she is getting her house together because she has some Mother's Day festivities planned. She's planning something for women who have lost their children. So Shad, he does end up giving her the flowers. And yes, she appreciates the gesture. However, when that man literally leaned over to her and said that he loved her, y'all, she did not say it back, and you can tell that he felt the way. But we gonna move on. Now, we see Charles. Y'all, Charles is making his rounds. And I mean, he's making his rounds like all up and through Chicago to all these random women's house who attend the church. Now, these women have either lost children or they are single mothers. He trying to figure out a way how he could go ahead and slip and slide his way into these women's homes. And I can see right through you, sir. Like, he's literally flirting with them in the name of the Lord. Like, sir, what are you doing? So he gets to this one house, right? He knocking on the door. And y'all, Keith swings the door open. Baby, this man done popped up at Tracy's house. Now, I'm just a little confused because I'm like, girl, why is this man answering your door like this? Why is he here, Tracy? But Charles basically tells Keith that he is there to pray for Tracy. He comes in and he does pray for her. But baby, it's super awkward. It is so awkward. You have Keith over there giving Charles the mean mug because it's just too much. I'm like, I know some time has passed, but now this is making me wonder, like, well, what was going on between Charles and Tracy? Like, what's going on there? Y'all, honestly, I'm just so confused as to why Tracy has Keith in her house. Like, girl, Keith of all people, Tracy know how to find a bum. Alright, so moving on from there, we actually see Victor, Jake, and Reg. They're all playing a video game, and there's a knock at the door. So Reg is like, oh, y'all, I got a surprise, and it is their mom. Now, I gotta be honest, y'all, I really did not care for Victor's energy because, like, I get it. Your mom has been in and out your life. But, I mean, sir, relax. Because, like, here's the thing. Trig is the oldest. Well, Victor is the oldest. So, I completely understand him feeling a way about their mom. However, Jake was never really raised by her. So he's actually happy to see her. And honestly, she looked cleaner in this scene than I have ever seen her on the show. You know what I'm saying? We've seen her a few times, and she definitely looked drugged out. And Jake, he ends up asking her, why she keep leaving. Now, y'all, I did not like that question coming from Jake because I'm like, why do you sound like you're 7 years old and you don't understand that your mama got a drug problem? Like, that question was a little bit childish. But nonetheless, Victor chimes in and he's like, well, that's because she's sick. And he feels like the mom should not be around Jake. And I'm just like, Victor, what's wrong with that? At least she trying. You know what I'm saying? She want to cook for them and everything. And in this moment, like, I get it. Like I said, Victor probably has it the hardest because he probably saw the most when it comes to the downward spiral of his mom, but you're coming in hot. Also, Jake has seen worse. So him seeing his mama, that's nothing, okay? He's absolutely been around worse and seen worse. Now, Victor, he wants to leave, but they end up convincing him to stay there. Now, we jump on over to the baby mama celebration, and Damien is there. You know, he tells Emmett and Darnell that he can't play spades, but he needs to learn how before tonight because he got invited to a spades game. Keep in mind, y'all, this man said he got invited to a spades game because we're going to get to that a little bit later. Papa, y'all, we see Papa, and he goes to see his mom, and, you know, he's just telling her about the pastor, and she don't want to hear nothing about this man. We all know that she does not like Pastor Zeke. Like, she has an attitude about it, and also we learned that for some reason her husband handled all of the finances, and now she don't really know what to do because, you know, they got some debt and the church seems to be taking a hit. Now, Papa, he does offer, you know, to give her some money, and he mentions how Pastor Zeke can help out, and she's like, nah, because I don't trust him. Y'all, I'm confused because who is running that church? Papa don't preach there. We've never heard Papa's mom say she's a pastor. So who is running that church over there? Like, honestly, I feel like, girl, if it's causing you that much harm, go ahead and sell the church. Like, no point in keep getting more into debt. But moving on from there, Alicia, she does have her meeting with the ladies who have lost their children. But she feels like they need to do something. So Tracy's like, you know, I've tried for years with the Rock program. And Alicia basically shuts her down like, girl, that's not enough. We need to go ahead and take the killers out. Now, girl, hold on now. You can't just become a killer, but I mean, she just literally just killed somebody a few months ago. So she don't really care. And Tracy is like, listen, the killers have mothers too. And Alicia's friend, I can't remember her name, but she's the judge. She's like, you know, revenge is not the answer. Okay? So Tracy, you know, she basically says that at the same time, I get that you want to have revenge on the people who killed these people's children, but she knows firsthand how that don't play out well, because y'all remember what happened with Coogie dying, and then Ronnie got taken out, and it just became a vicious cycle. Now, moving on from there, the judge goes on to talk about the fact that her son died, and unfortunately, he took his own life. So I'm like, oh, okay, so now I'm connecting the dots. Bakari reminds the professor of his own son. We gonna go ahead and move on from there, because can we have an honest conversation? When we find out who the son is, ain't no way. But we gonna move on. So Emmett basically he done locked in with his dad, and they're trying to explain to Damien how to play spades. Like, this is a good scene, and it's cute or whatever, but I'm just like, okay, what else is going on? Now, we jump on over to the people that are, you know, outside at this Mother's Day celebration, and EJ is running around with another little boy, right? But when he bumps into something, he knocks a cup over. So Tiff, she gets upset, and she's like, you know, you gotta stop doing all this running. And Tiff's mom is right there. So she ends up giving EJ a hug. It's like, don't worry about it. We all make mistakes. Now, here's my thing. I get it. This little boy, he shouldn't have been running around the table and all of that stuff. But my whole thing is, why he didn't even try to help her, like, wipe it up? Like, the cup knocked over. That boy didn't try to help her do nothing. He didn't even apologize. And I'm just like, okay, so can we give little EJ some lines? No? Okay, fine. Nonetheless, he goes to go play with his, you know, brothers in the house. And what's her name? Tiff, she tells her mom, like, you know, Don't tell me how to raise my son. I said, I need for Tiff to remove that phrase from her vocabulary, because not only did she say that to her mom, she said it to Keisha before. And it's like, well, girl, do you have him more? Are you raising him now? Like, do he live with you and Alicia and Shad? Like, I have questions that need answers. So then, basically, Tiff is like, yeah, if that was me when I was a kid, you would have hit me and all the things. And her mom is like, yeah, well, I'm grown as a grandmother. Like, I'm not the same person I used to be when I was raising you. And I'm like, okay, that's very valid, because most grandparents, they do change as time goes by. But I think there is a bigger conversation that needs to be had, that a lot of times when people have children, they're not ready for children. But by the time they're in their older age as a grandparent, their understanding, it's a bit better than what it was. Moving on. All right, so after that, we do see Papa. He goes to tell Pastor Zeke that his mom needs some financial help. So he does end up asking for a loan, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to pay you back. However, the pastor is like, oh no, consider it to be a gift. But Papa's like, no, it's a loan, because I don't want to owe any debt to anybody. Well, baby, you about to be owing something to him if you take this money. But we gonna go ahead and move on. All right, now we slip and slide our way right on over to the brothers. And here's the thing. Everybody is having a good time except for Victor. He's like, we just gonna act like we one big happy family. Like she didn't mess up our whole childhood. And the mom is literally like, could you get past that? Like, you can't keep blaming me for the past. I said, now, ma'am, it was your fault. But, like, this is also Victor's first time seeing his mom, I believe. Wait, or did he see her when Duda kind of got custody of Jake? Dang it, I can't remember, because this show has had so many twists and turns. But nonetheless, he feels some type of way. Okay? Now, he told her that you had 3 kids with no intentions on raising them. And now you have 3 boys here that are pretending to be men. Baby Reg didn't like that, because he's like, listen, I know who I am. And the mom, she says that she did her best with what she could. Like, Reg, he feels like, they all still standing. I mean, even Jake piped up and was like, Victor, you're not perfect either. Here's my thing when it comes to this situation. Like, yes, the mom, she did not do right by these kids. However, at this point, we all know that the mom has a drug problem, okay? So, I understand that she was absolutely wrong for abandoning her children, but if you can sit up here and have grace for so many other people, Victor, I think you might be able to give your mom a little bit of grace, just a little bit more, okay? So, Victor, he goes on to blame his mom for him having a savior complex, because now he always think he gotta save everybody. And here's the thing. He went a little further, and I had to give him the side eye, because he's like, I had to raise myself and I had to raise Jake. Now, hold on, baby. The only reason why you came back into the picture was because Reg so-called died. Reg was the one who was actually raising Jake. Because y'all remember when Victor first came back, when he was still Trig, he was trying to tell Jake about how he had took Jake and his friends to like some theme park. And he's like, yeah, you were too young to even remember that. I'm just like, dude, you've been going for some years. Okay? Reg had to take over as well. So I feel like you can't take all the credit now. Now, was Reg a good influence on Jake? No, he's still not. But we're not about to act like Victor has been around this whole time. Okay? So, Reg, he's like, listen, she wasn't the perfect mom, but you got to get over that. Now, Victor's like, I'm just grieving the life that I could have had. Victor, let me tell you something. I understand what you're going through, but baby, you could have had the best mom and your life still could have ended up shitty. That's just how, the cookie crumbles. that's just the cards that you were dealt in life. But, the mom says that she didn't have a good mother as well. So now everybody is feeling some type of way, okay? And Jake is the one who ends up grabbing his mom's hand and thanks her for giving them life, right? Like, honestly, the innocence that Jake has right now is so interesting to watch because, of course, when he's around Reg, for sure, he has to present way more like he a harder dude because Reg is a street dude versus Victor. He gets to be normal Jake, but seeing him with his mom, there's such an innocence because he goes back to being a little boy. You know what I'm saying? When his mom was around at some point. Now let's go ahead and jump right on over to the baby mama celebration. And again, the only thing that I keep thinking is, are y'all not tired of barbecue? What other foods y'all got out there in Chicago? So here's the thing. One of Emmett's baby's mama, I want to say her name is Shay. Yeah, Shay. She's like, all right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and head on out. She's like, I have other houses that we got to go to. And as she's about to walk out, her and Emmett are talking, and she tells him that she's moving to Pittsburgh, and he's feeling some type of way. And she's like, well, listen, we're leaving next month, and your son can come see you in the summers. Oh, y'all, here's the thing. First of all, Emmett, why are you catching an attitude? That's number one. Number two, I thought that she had moved away like in season 2. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she just moved to a different part of Illinois. I don't know. But for some reason, I thought that she had moved a long time ago. And then we just recircled to the fact that her and the other baby mama now live together. I'm a little confused. But nonetheless, Emmett, I'm so confused as to why you told this girl after she said you can have the child in the summer. You said, oh, so you could turn up? That's not fair to me. Excuse me? Like, it's crazy to watch Emmett pretend like he always got his kids. We all know that he don't be having them. Like, sometimes it is really hard to watch. So, my whole thing is this. She has her child the majority of the time, okay? And at the same time, she also has the right to live wherever she chooses to live and do whatever she got to do. Everything does not revolve around Emmett and his schedule. When she told him, you can have him in the summers, yeah, that's because he'll be in school during all the other months. It does make sense for you to get that child in the summer. Like, what are we over here getting upset about? Like, I don't know, sometimes when I'm watching Emmett's character, and like, yes, he is a stand-up dude now. He takes care of EJ. He takes care of little Ronnie. But I'm like, you still got a couple more kids out there, sir. And when I tell y'all, he is like, yeah, he doing better, but he's still like Darnell 2.0, if that makes sense. Now, we're going to jump back over to Alicia. And here's the thing. It's real quiet at her house. So Shad, he basically convinces her that, the ladies should all head on over to Emmett's because he has a huge celebration happening and everybody should be celebrated. And I'm just kind of like, so you just going to invite these people, Shad? You don't know if they got enough food over there? All right, so now we jump back over to Darnell. He's basically telling Damien how to play spades. I don't know why we got this little extension of this scene because it didn't really push anything further. I'm like, okay, so what else is going on? Emmett, he has a conversation with Keisha, right? And he basically tells her that Shay and DeMonte, they're going to be leaving. And he tells her that she wants him to come back in the summer. Y'all, why did Keisha say, oh, that's convenient? Again, this boy is going to be in school. Why wouldn't he come back in the summers to be with his dad? What are we talking about right now? And then Keisha goes on to say, oh, well, we can always go visit. Y'all not going to visit that boy. Because let's be so for real. Y'all don't even visit the other Smokies location. Okay? That's supposed to be, I think, in New York. Ain't never visited that place, but swore y'all was making money. And now Damien has gone over the books and y'all broke. Again, I don't understand how money works on the Chi to where everybody is broke. I don't get it, but I'm just going to let that be that. So, Keisha does tell him that, he needs to support Shay. And because he never married her, he really doesn't have any rights over where she moves to. And that's just going to be that. And honestly, y'all, I get what they're trying to do with this whole, if he gets married, then the wife will have rights and you have rights to do all these things. That's cool and all. But also at the same time, it's like, Emmett, get over yourself. Please, get over yourself. Moving on from there, the mourning mothers, they decide to come on over to Emmett's. Everybody says, oh yeah, cheers to all the moms, woo, woo, woo. Moving on. Keisha and the judge, they end up catching each other's eyes. And I'm like, okay, wait, what was that about? Like, I ain't never heard Keisha have a court case or nothing. So who is this lady? We jump back over to the brothers. And they about to eat this macaroni and cheese, right, that their mama done promised them. Reg and Jake are super excited to eat this food. However, Victor's dreading it. And honestly, but the thing that shocked me was that Victor ended up pulling the mama chair out so she could sit down. I'm like, I thought Reg would do it because you ain't been cool with the mama the whole time since she been here. So, their mom is like, no matter what, or how you feel about me, I just hope that y'all always have love for each other and take care of each other. Now, of course, there was a few moments of, I don't know about all that, but they do end up agreeing that they'll always look out for each other. But I definitely see that there's going to be a conflict coming sooner rather than later, between Reg and Victor, because they're totally two different people, especially once Victor sees that Jake may be following in Reg's footsteps instead of his. Now, moving on from there, the judge, I really gotta relearn her name, but she finally goes up to Keisha, and y'all, we learned that her son was Christian. And I'm like, wait, Christian, who is that? I had to go back in my mind and be like, oh my gosh, Christian was the nice black boy that Keisha dated. Y'all know after everything went down with her, she started dating that boy when she started taking some college classes. And honestly, to this day, I still say that Keisha should have stuck it out with him instead of getting back with Emmett. I gotta be honest. We also learned that, unfortunately, he passed away. But Keisha, she didn't know about it. She didn't know anything about him passing away. And his mom was like, yeah, that's because, we're really private. Just know that he really liked you, and happy Mother's Day. Y'all, this makes me wonder, like, unfortunately, with him taking his own life, I'm just wondering, like, are we trying to say that it was because of the rejection from Keisha, or he had his own stuff going on? I feel like we could have explored that a little bit more. But moving on from there, this is where things get very strange for me. Keep in mind, y'all, this group of people should never be in a room together because it doesn't make any sense. We have the professor, Bakari, Keith, and Hannibal. That is who's playing spades. Who put this group together? None of these people rock with each other. We've never seen them together. What are we doing? Then Damien comes in as Bakari is walking out. Why is he here? Who invited him to this spades game? Because nobody there seemed to know that he was coming. Like, am I tripping? That made absolutely no sense. Now, one thing that I will say is that we do see Damien have a conversation with Keith, and basically Keith says that he ain't got to mess with him no more because now he got a woman in his life. I'm like, sir, you were that bored that you was messing with him because you didn't have no woman? My God, get a clue. So the guys start this random game of spades, and Damien look like he don't know what he doing. He over shuffling these cards in his hand all around, and I'm just like, sir, is this a tactic so that way they don't know you know what you're doing? But we gonna come back to that. We get to the end of the barbecue, and Nook pops up out of nowhere, and he ends up giving Keisha this really nice card, and here go Emmett. He trying to read what's in the inside. Sir, scoot back, please. And Nuck he sees Tiff. She's trying to like take the trash out. So they end up taking the trash out together. And she's like, okay, so where's my Mother's Day card with a sweet note in it? And he's like, you ain't my baby mama. I ain't got no baby with you. That part did make me laugh a little bit. She tells him not to try to break up Emmett and Keisha's happy home, and he's like, no, it's not even like that. So then he goes on to tell her that his mom actually passed away, and that's where he was all day, you know what I'm saying, at the cemetery. And what's horrible is that his dad is the one who killed his mom. I'm like, oh my God, that is not what I was expecting. Moving on from there, back at the party, they over here doing the Tamia line dance. Okay. I will say it was cute to see Shad and Alicia have a cute little dancing moment. But again, what else is going on? Y'all, we get to the pastor and Papa. Okay? This man magically pops up with stacks of money. And then out of nowhere, here come Charles. He's like, yeah, you know, just think of it as a gift from us. And then Zeke is like, think of it as a down payment. So Papa's like, whoa, wait a second. My dad's church ain't for sale. Y'all, why that pastor tell him everything has a price? Papa, please get up and get up out of there. And you don't need to go see this church ever again. Because this man has been trying to swindle that church out of you for some time now. Now let's jump back over to this spades game, because as they're playing, Damien now magically knows all the lingo. He acting like he running the board. I'm like, I thought he barely knew how to play. Okay. So he ends up letting us all know that they're down 100 points, right? So at this point, Keith and Hannibal think that they're going to win. But at this point, this is when I realized, oh, Damien knows how to count cards. He would absolutely be banned from Vegas. Of course, we see them play a couple of rounds, and Damien and the professor win. Professor, this is who you need to be guiding. Instead of playing around with Bakari, I feel like you need to be guiding Damien's character, because, yeah. There's nothing wrong with Damien, but there's a lot wrong with Bakari and his storyline. Nonetheless, we do see Tracy and Keith at home, and he ends up asking her about Charles, and she's like, you know, he was just being nice. Y'all, why did Keith say he was trying to build a life with her? Sir, you are barely holding it together. You are still being the cleanup man at Smokey's. What life are you trying to build? With what money, sir? And then she talk about she don't know what she want. Tracy, what you should want is better for yourself. Like, you should want a man with money. I'm not understanding why you keep going for the broke instead of broke. Baby, that was the best thing that ever happened to her. I'm just saying. Moving on from there, so Nuck ends up dropping Tiff off, right? And he tries to kiss her, and she's like, nah, we not doing that. So she ends up telling him that, you know, she thought that she would feel different once Alicia killed Rob's murderer, but she don't. And I'm just like, wait, so why is this low-key given that you always have feelings for Nuck? We've never seen that before. What is happening with this show? But nonetheless, you know, she says that basically she has this gut feeling that she took out the wrong guy. And he's like, well, what makes you feel that way? And she's like, you know what? That's just a feeling that I have. Here's my thing. Tell her the same story that you told Alicia. Tell her that, oh no, it was definitely Zay. He's the one who made the call. Remember, them was your words. Interesting. So she gets out the car, he drives off, and that is where the show ends. Y'all, I feel like not too much actually went on with this episode, but hopefully the next one will be better. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.